Hi, I'm Ioannis Psaikis, a reporter at the Central Penn Business Journal. Welcome to PA Biz Conversations, a newsroom web video series that shares timely news topics that affect PA business. In this segment, we welcome Andrea Karns, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Karns. Andrea and I will talk about Karns' response to the COVID-19 pandemic and how the local supermarket chain has continued to stand out during this time. Andrea, how would you describe your roles at Karns?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yes, so my official title is Vice President of Sales and Marketing, but that takes on a lot of different hats, especially when you work for a small family-owned business. So I work with everything from our buyers to our shoppers to our team members to try and figure out and navigate the direction that we go on a seasonal basis to build our ads. And I also oversee our loyalty card program. But certainly over the past 7 months, my job duties have looked significantly different.
Of course. How would you describe Karns' response to the pandemic and how that's changed what you've been doing?
Yeah, since mid-March, our number one priority really has been navigating what COVID-19 means to our community, to our shoppers, to our distribution channels. So the number one goal has and remains the health and safety of our team members and our shoppers. What can we do to keep everyone as safe as possible? Also, our team members have been absolutely phenomenal during this time period. They have shown some ridiculous work ethics, keeping the shelves stocked. And during this time, we've really just worked along with the CDC guidance, Pennsylvania Department of Health, and industry best practices to figure out how to operate in a safe environment, how to handle everything that's coming at us with new information, with information changing sometimes weekly, monthly, and moving forward.
Obviously, I think something that makes this pandemic so interesting is how it really sort of hit everybody across the board. How would you say that Karns stood out during the time among its peers?
Yeah, so as a locally owned store, we have 9 stores here in the central Pennsylvania. It's give us some flexibility. We were able to respond to the direct community, like to the Cumberland, Perry, Dauphin, York counties. We were all working underneath the Pennsylvania Department of Ag guidelines that were put forward. So we didn't have to navigate multiple states. But really what allowed us to stand out, especially early in the pandemic, was how we operate already on a daily basis, which is our meat department is a full service meat department. So while many other stores had disruptions within their distribution channels, we were still able to work with our providers, with our producers to get fresh chicken and burger and additional cuts of meat directly from the processing plant to our stores. So we had a limited out of stock. So for people who were worried about having food for their family, having food in their freezer and the refrigerator, they were able to come into our stores and we didn't have those disruptions. We didn't have to wait for packaging. We didn't have to wait for items to be put on foam trays and then redistributed. We had a much more streamlined channel. So we were able to ensure that shoppers within the central Pennsylvania area had that meat that they were looking for.
With, at least for now, with that first wave sort of past us, how do you view Karns being able to sort of continue to stand out in the coming months?
Yeah, well, the coming months, it's still a question mark for everyone, so we're obviously looking at what's happening across the world, across the globe, to kind of gauge what directions we should be going into. Families are leaning on one another. They're leaning on the local community. They're leaning into each other with the belief that we're in this together. And I believe that, I work at the stores. I answer the phones when customers call. So we're truly part of the central Pennsylvania community, working alongside them. In addition to the increased sanitation measures that we put in place, that's all maintaining. And we continue to look at what's the CDC saying, what are the industry best practices saying, and making those adjustments. So that the practices we've put in place will continue for the foreseeable future. No end date on any of those. Beyond that, Karns Foods, we continue to work to have meal solutions for our customers. We recognize that for a lot of individuals, economics is more important now than ever. Making sure that they can provide a healthy meal for their families while staying in budget. So to ensure that we have those options, those solutions for families to feel safe, to feel like they are cooking for their family, cooking a good meal for their family, and creating memories at that dinner table, that's our number one priority after the sanitation, keeping everyone safe, is making sure people feel like they can be in their budget while serving a good meal for their families.
Okay. Something that you have mentioned a few times is, and it seems like it goes back to the size of Karns.
Mm-hmm.
Something that gives you a sort of an edge up in terms of flexibility then, you'd say?
Definitely. We have, like I said, 9 stores where we get to be more nimble. We can move faster because we only have to worry about these 9 locations. We definitely felt that throughout the pandemic, especially early on. We worked with local purveyors, a number of them, to ensure we had product on our shelves. For example, I was working with H.R. Wenzel's, which is a flour mill in Perry County. We carry their product year round. However, when suddenly all-purpose flour was out for the national brands, I was able to work directly with them, and we were buying up weekly their entire inventory and self-distributing it to the stores. Terranetti's is a bakery in Mechanicsburg. Again, we carry their products year round, but then we were able to work with them, and they were producing Italian bread for all of our stores, and we were distributing it out. So since we only had 9 stores to worry about, we were able to leverage our local connections, our community connections with some purveyors, and get that out quickly. Additionally, we were able to make decisions and work fast. I was putting floor decals up at the stores on my own that said social distancing, please keep 6 feet. You know, when you have 9 locations, it's a lot, but you're able to work quickly, you're able to work fast, you're able to implement and be on the store floor of every store location if needed in one day.
It's a very boots on the ground mentality.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is that how you would describe your leadership? What was sort of important in regards to your leadership during this time that you had to make sure you were doing?
Yeah, well, what you said is 100% correct. We are a boots on the ground company. My grandfather actually started the company in 1959. My dad, Scott, runs it today. He's my boss. And so they both have that work ethic. My grandfather instilled it in my dad. My dad epitomizes hard work. I give him so much credit for that. And that's the expectation, I think, in any grocery store. If there's a job to be done, you should do it. It doesn't matter if it's your day-to-day operation, you need to do that. And that was amplified with the pandemic. So for myself, you know, I went from planning anniversary sales and what are we doing for summer cookouts at store levels to picking up gloves in New York from a distribution center to drive a secondary van for our company around to all of our stores to distribute gloves, distributing masks, sourcing PPE equipment, items that were never on my radar, items that I hope to never have on my radar again in the future. But it was a matter of what needs to be done to keep our team members safe, to keep our shoppers safe. What do we need to do? Let's do it. That's always been the mentality. It will continue to be the mentality, but the pandemic certainly amplified that.
Of course. Well, Andrea, thank you again so much for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us at PA Biz Conversations. To read more business news, join the Central Penn Business Journal coverage at cpbj.com, as well as Lehigh Valley Business at lvb.com. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.